Hello and welcome to Inside Ransomware, how ransomware protection tools work their magic. Today's exciting webinar is sponsored by KnowBe4 and Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbach with Actual Tech Media, and I'm so happy to be your moderator for this DemoCast today because many of you have heard me say this before, but the best way to get to know a tool is to really dig into it and watch it work in real time. And that's basically the idea behind these DemoCasts. There's a ton of research and exploration that goes into choosing the right solution for you and for your organization. So we've gathered together some top experts from KnowBe4 and Rubrik to walk you through some key aspects of their solutions. Together, we'll explore how these tools can help you prevent, block, discover, or recover from ransomware. Now, I know this topic is probably top of mind for many of you, so let's just zip through our DemoCast housekeeping and get to our sessions here. So first, I want you to take a look at your audience console. Now, there's two key things that we're going to talk about today, the Handouts tab and the Questions tab. But let's start with that Questions tab. So the question tab is, first of all, a great place to say hello. If you haven't already said hi and connected with the other members in the community there, give us a wave, tell us where you're at and how you're doing today. But it's also a chance to ask questions directly of an expert. So get those technical questions in there. Now, if any issues come up today, slides advancing or sound issues, I do want to remind you that a browser refresh is going to get rid of any of the usual tech gremlins. But if they're being particularly persistent, shoot the Actual Tech Media team a message there in that Questions tab and we'll be there to support. Now let's go back to that Handouts tab. So there's a lot of great resources available for you today. You've got information about other webinars coming up, the Gorilla Guide Book Club, and some great information from KnowBe4 and Rubrik. So be sure to check out that Handouts tab. Now, as you can see on the slide there, it is not just awesome content that we're giving away today. We also have a $300 Amazon gift card as a prize drawing. We'll be giving that away at the end of our webinar today. And you must be in live attendance, so stick around, don't go anywhere, and we will take care of that. Now, if you're not sure what the full prize terms and conditions are and you'd like to dig into that a little bit, if you go back to that Handouts tab that I mentioned earlier, click in, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you can find the full T's and C's waiting for you there. Okay, well, I said I was going to keep that really short and sweet, and we did. We have come to the end of our housekeeping information already. So let's get into our first demo of the day. To kick us off, I'm excited to introduce Greg Krass, Chief Success Officer at KnowBe4. Greg, I know that you have a very exciting demo lined up for us, so I'm going to hand the mic on over to you.
Hello and welcome to this brief presentation about KnowBe4's new skill security awareness training. My name is Greg Krass. I'm the Chief Product Officer, and I'm going to be doing a platform demonstration today. I have a few brief slides, and then I promise I will jump directly into the demo. First of all, a little bit about KnowBe4. We are in the Tampa Bay area. We've been doing this for a little over a decade now, and probably the most important part here is that we are founded, myself included, the CEO and many members of the R&D, by people that came out of the security space, making things like endpoint security, security mail gateways, antivirus, and that sort of thing. And we realized that there was a problem that the human element wasn't being addressed, and the rest, as they say, is history. Without any further ado, let's actually jump into the demonstration of the platform itself. All right, what you'll be seeing here is the admin console. This console is what you'll see when you first log in. It's localized into 10 different languages, but we're going to be using English because that's what I can speak, and I will actually understand the console. First, you will see the organization's risk score at the top. The risk score is calculated for every individual, populated by the virtual risk officer, which is looking at tens of millions of users and literally billions of events to come up with an individual score for every user, and then that's aggregated up to the organization level. I'll show a little bit more about that later. Here are the results of your most recent phishing campaigns. We do campaigns that are either one-time or ongoing, and here you can see where your organization sits, and you can do some benchmarking. So perhaps you're in the government and you're looking to see what your baseline should be, 28%, and let's say you're a large government, so 24.8% in a large government, but after 1 year, we see that drop down to 7.1. So just an example of what you can look for in the console. There's several other areas that have benchmarking like this. The next area is the Phish Alert button. This is an add-in for Outlook, Office 365, Exchange, G Suite, and even Lotus Notes that gives your users a button where they can report what they believe to be a phishing email. If it's a simulation, it deletes the message and scores it positively. If it's not a simulation, it packages up that message with all of the headers and forwards it to your SOCs for further analysis. We actually have a whole other platform called Phishing that helps with dealing with those messages, but that's a different demo. A little bit further down, we have the results of SAPA, our Security Awareness Proficiency Assessment. This is where you're actually testing the skills of your users. You can see that there's 7 different domains, and again, it's benchmarked against the other customers on the platform. Next one is the Security Culture Survey. One of the big points on security awareness training and security as a concept is that you can lead a horse to water, but it doesn't mean you're going to make them drink. Same thing goes with users. You'll be surprised to find that some of the most educated, most technologically minded people are the ones that end up clicking on phishing emails because they just kind of don't have it first and foremost in their mind. And that's why we like to measure the security culture of the organization. And again, it's benchmarked. And at the bottom, we have the results of the most recent training campaigns. So at a glance, you can see how the training is going with the platform. Obviously, we're going for a very short demo here, so I'm going to be jumping around a bit. I do like to point out what it is that we do to get you started with the platform, because there is a lot in the platform. For that reason, we have ASAP, our Automated Security Awareness Program. It's 7 questions, and the results is a fully laid out program that you can implement over the course of the year that takes you from the point of engaging stakeholders is usually the very first step, all the way down to setting up your annual reporting or quarterly reporting to be automatically sent to the key people. So this program will get you set up and take you through the entire process. With that, let's talk a little bit about users and groups, how that works. Our console is very much centered around training and phishing users, so there should be no surprise that we have several different ways to get users into the platform. You can use a CSV upload, you can use our Active Directory integration. We have SCIM integrations for Okta and for Azure, and coming soon for OneLogin and several other identity providers. So that automatically pulls your users and groups into the console, so you don't have to do that. Once you pulled your users in, you get a lot of information about those users. I'll show you a sample here. Oh, Fritz is a good example user. At a glance, I can see the phishing results for Fritz. I can see more details about those types of phishing tests that have happened, the training results for Fritz, and then the risk score at the bottom. And you can see that we're pulling in several different behaviors and details of the user to come up with that score. Exposure is looking at breaches. Job function is looking at organizational hierarchy and the job title. Behavior is how they actually deal with those simulated phishes that are coming in. Training is what training they've done or not done. And then the booster is something that the admin can set. You can also affect this particular graph using what we refer to as our user event API, where you can push your own things onto the user's timeline, which I can actually show you here, which shows you all of the different events that have happened with the user. In fact, these top ones are examples of using that Phishing platform where the user has either reported or had messages pulled out of their mailbox by that platform. Other details on here are the full training history, the certificates that can be pulled down, and all the phishing results. One last thing I want to talk about is groups. Because there's oftentimes many users in the platform, you're really going to be targeting them as groups of users for the training, the phishing, and for reporting purposes. And for that reason, we have 3 different types of groups. We have groups like this accounting group at the top, which is handled by user provisioning, whatever user provisioning you may be using. So in this case, perhaps you're using SCIM and the Azure identity provider. If you have an accounting group there, it will be mirrored on the KnowBe4 side. The auditors is an example of an ad hoc or console group where it's just something that you've created inside of this platform. And then probably one of the most important ones for workflow automation are these smart groups. Smart groups are groups that are based off of criteria. So I'll drill into one of those to give you an example. This is the Midwest clickers. So you have 2 rules or criteria on here. First, we're looking for users that have clicked ever on a phishing email and that they have a location set to the Midwest. So we're looking for people that click in the Midwest, just like the name implies. There are a lot of different criteria. You can look at things like user user date, maybe the date that the user was added to the console. Perhaps you have a training that you push your users through 1 week after they've started. Create a smart group that says, give me everybody that's never done blah, blah, blah training and was added in the last week, and they will end up in this group, and the group can automatically be enrolled in your onboarding training. That works for compliance training. That works for phishing campaigns, anything you could imagine. So as many smart groups as you like, you can automate the workflow for those users. Let's take a moment here just to look at some of the phishing features that we have on the platform. Everything is done at a campaign level. Campaigns are either one-time or ongoing. I'll drill into a single campaign here just to show a bit of what's inside of a campaign. I can drill into the details of every type of failure. We track clicks on messages, replies to messages, the opening of Office attachments, zip files, PDFs, HTML documents, the enabling of macros in Office documents. And if they've clicked on something and they get presented with a page, we can actually look to see if they're entering data and trying to submit it. When it comes to actually phishing, you're going to need to send something to the user. We can use email templates for that. These are my personal templates in here. These are the ones that I've created from scratch or ones that are based off of PhishFlip. This is where a user has reported a phishing email and we've turned it into a template automatically. Or we can use the built-in system templates. They're currently, at the time of this recording, there are 12,000 templates that are available, and these are updated frequently. They're also available in, a lot of them are in 34 languages. Some of them are available in up to 50 languages. So these are all built in. You can use them as is or modify them. If I wanted to take any one of these templates, let's say I wanted to take this LifeLock one, I can go in here. I can see the template. If I wanted to, I could actually modify anything about it. I could spoof a domain, or I can just change what happens when a person actually clicks on it. So if I make a change on this particular template, it becomes one of mine. I can preview it, and then if I wanted to go ahead and see what would happen when a user clicks on it, I can click on it and see what the result is for the user. In this case, I'm actually embedding the message that was sent to the user in the page that the user sees, and I'm highlighting everything that the user should have seen. So those red flags are also translated and localized into 34 different languages, and you can make your own if you like. Another example of something you do with phishing are the landing pages. That was an example of a landing page that looks and like the message that was sent. We have built-in system pages. If we wanted a system page that looks like a, let's say, Dropbox, for example, I can look at what one of the ones that are built in here looks like Dropbox, acts like Dropbox. It's not actually Dropbox. User tries to log into this, we'll record that they tried to, but we won't keep any of the actual details. All right. Next thing you're going to be using the platform for a lot is training. In order to talk about training, we have to talk about content. We have amassed the largest security awareness training content in the industry. There are over 1,000 pieces of content in here. This content includes things such as training modules, which are interactive, may have quizzes and knowledge checks, games, videos, episodic videos, and then PDFs and artwork so that you can use something that you may email around or print and put into the different break rooms. I can give an example of one of these here. I'm very much a fan of our Inside Man series. I can take a preview of this inside of the mod store and see all of the different episodes. We're up to season 4 now of this whole program, and it is quite a wild ride. And there's 12 episodes in every season, so it makes for a very easy monthly training campaign just to keep your users engaged and interested. Also, if you have any reason that there's content that we don't have, you can upload your own content into the platform using SCORM or MP4 files, and we'll put that into our LMS. Going back into the mod store, one thing I also want to point out is not all of the training in here is security awareness based. We also have another subscription level called Compliance Plus, which targets compliance training. We had quite a few customers that were looking for our style of training, but for compliance needs. So we've been adding that. We're up to 156 pieces of content that are part of the Compliance Plus package. While we're talking about this, we should actually show what the interface looks like for the end users. The entire platform comes with an LMS. so that your users have a place to take their training. This is also localized into 34 languages. It's also customizable. You can change the color of the logo. You can change what tiles are being showed to the user. This is an example where we're showing the user the phishing results, the risk score, the badges that they've earned, and the leaderboard. The user can also look at the training that they have to take, select the languages here. There's also a library of training that's available in here. There are several points in the platform where we have ADA, which is our artificial intelligence-driven agent. This is looking at the behavior of the users, and in this case, we can actually make recommendations based off of the feedback the user has given on the training for what training would be interesting to the users. So this is one of the places. There's also a phishing functionality that can use ADA to select which templates to send to the users. Let's go back to the console. I want to take a moment just to talk about reporting. Built into the console, there are nearly 80 different reports that can be saved and scheduled to be sent automatically. I'm not going to show all of them. I'll just show one as an example here, which is our group report card. I like this one because at a glance, I can pick any group and see the risk score over time, the phish prone percentage, is the group growing or shrinking, and the results of training for that group. If you need more reporting than this, all of the reporting is available as an API through our reporting API so that you can actually pull this information into your own platform and manipulate it as you need. That's all the time we have for today in this particular demo. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for that demo and that discussion. I love that you designed your solution to address, as you said, the human issue. And it's funny, I guess, when we talk about that human issue, but it's also extremely true that this is the major weak point in the armor. I think the risk score, the phishing alerts, ASAP all seem like a great way for an organization to begin or potentially augment their existing ransomware strategy. I can see that we have a lot of great questions coming in for KnowBe4, and we do need to move things along today in the DemoCast, but don't worry. The KnowBe4 team will get all the questions that you've asked after the event, and they will follow up with you, so you will get some answers back. Well, a big thank you again to Greg and to the KnowBe4 team for just an awesome demo. And we've got one more to go here. So let's get into our second exciting demo of the day. Up next, I'm so excited to introduce you all to Kyle Anderman, Chief Sales Engineer at Rubrik. Kyle, thank you so much for being here with us today. I know you've got a great demo lined up for us, so I'm going to hand the mic right over to you.
Hi, I'm Kyle Anderman, Solutions Architect at Rubrik. Today, I'd like to walk you through a quick 10-minute overview so you can see just how easy it is to use. With Rubrik, you can radically simplify your data protection and data management with rapid recovery, including recovering from ransomware, while moving the data to the cloud economically. I'd also like to quickly walk you through Rubrik's SaaS platform for global management, Polaris. Now, our platform, as you see, it's all HTML5. There's no Flash or Java. Java belongs in a coffee cup, not in a backup software, right? Setup is very, very simple, right? Because of our API integrations into most resources, all you really have to do is tell me the IP or fully qualified domain name and the login credentials of the resource you want to access, whether it's VMware, Hyper-V, or the cloud, and then hit add. We'll then catalog and index all of the resources that lie underneath it and allow you to decide how you want to protect them. Now, the dashboard, again, you shouldn't be in here all that often. This should be set it and forget it, but you can obviously drill down by resource type. You can see all the different Snapables we offer. I think conceptually, the biggest differentiation is SLA domains, right? Gone are the days of job scheduling and job management, right? It's really telling that end state story in a declarative method. As you can see, we support CDP, that's listed in here. But all you have to do is say, all right, I want to have a recovery point that's a couple hours old, and I want to be able to go back to those for a number of days. I'd maybe like a daily for a month, monthlies for a year, yearlies for whatever long-term retention is, 7 or 8 years, 20 years, or much longer, I've heard. And then you simply decide, hey, I want to archive, I maybe also want to replicate, and then what do those frequencies look like? As what we've seen, most customers are only going back to data frequently within the last couple weeks, maybe a month. So we'll keep a little bit of data locally, and then we'll send that data out to some other resource pool for long-term storage, right? AWS, Azure, GCP, on-prem NFS or object, We also support tiering out in the cloud, so you can further leverage the cost economics of those spaces. Same with replication. Just tell me where that other site is, and then we'll handle sending the data and maintaining it for you. Once you've made those high-level decisions, you hit create. And that's it, right? That's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure we can all agree. Now, I think the other important piece is, right, how do you recover data? Now, we'll talk a little bit about that, but first I also like to point out that our SLA policy engine can work in a very hierarchical manner. So if you want to have a very high-level policy that you want to apply to a cluster, and that way anything new that's created will automatically inherit that. You don't have to worry about telling it what to do. That's fully supported. If you use tags or folders to handle organization today, right, those are both available to you here, and it works in that same hierarchical manner. Now, a lot of our initial engineering came over from the likes of Google and Facebook, so you're going to see a rich predictive search function throughout the platform. And one of the other features I found so valuable is that no matter the resource you're managing, whether it's physical, virtual, a database, a file set, it's all going to view very much the same way. So it's very, very easy to learn and manage. You're going to see the SLA domain that's been applied, the oldest and latest backups you have access to, and then the total number available in the bottom. You can view it as a calendar, so year, month, or day, all those green dots are recovery points. So maybe I want to go back to 2018, something older, or maybe somebody deleted a file a couple of days ago and I want to go grab it. That little birthday cake icon means the data has been replicated from one site to another. Now you'll notice I have a number of options here, right? Now I can, as I mentioned previously, launch this into cloud, right? All I have to do is tell it a couple pieces of information, right? Which I'm pulling down via APIs from the cloud providers I've logged into. I know that's not hopefully something we're doing every day, but just know that we can do it on the fly, or you can actually pre-convert them. So if you know you want to use it for test and dev or DR, simply hit pre-configure and it will be stored natively as an AMI or VHD in the respective platform. So all you have to do is flip a switch, you're up and running. Now, file level recovery, probably far more common for everyone. Now, what we're doing with all of these resources is we're cataloging and indexing them, essentially breaking open, in this case, the VMDK, and allowing you to get down to the file level. So at whatever scale you need to do this, you can simply tell me I need it locally, I want it recovered in the original location or somewhere else. Once you hit finish, we'll handle it for you. Though I'm guessing not everyone runs into your offices and tells you what they deleted, when they deleted it, and where they deleted it from. It never happened to me. It hasn't happened to anyone I've talked to here in 3 years. So we've made it a circle, right? You can do this with wildcards. You can come in here and say, all right, I need this file. Do I need the one that's current, or do I need one that's a little older? One thing that's really important to point out is that cloud icon. What it means is the data no longer resides locally. It lives out in its archival repository, but what we do uniquely, as I've mentioned previously, is manage the metadata both in this instance and in the archival repository. What that allows us to do is essentially put the ICE block up there and pull back individual ICE chips. So if you just needed a single file, we're able to pull back just the ones and zeros specific to that file data. So you don't have to rehydrate the entire instance or object just to gain access to it from a recovery perspective. Not only does this lead to much faster recoveries out of archival data, but you're going to avoid a lot of the traditional egress if you use a cloud provider. The next step up, I think, is really how you recover a VM, right? And there's a couple of ways you can do that. Now, export's probably table stakes and what we're all used to. You're going to move data from one place to another to instantiate it, tie it back to compute. We do it as easy as we do anything else in here, but you're really introducing latency into that conversation where it's really not necessary. The two functions I think are used most are mount the VM or instant recover. Now, functionally, these two are almost the same. I'm going to choose mount, but I'll explain the differences. Now, as I was provided the login credentials in the beginning, you'll notice I have access to put this to any ESXi node I'd like. So I simply choose the one I want. Now, maybe I need to remove networking for either contention reasons or it's Microsoft Patch Tuesday and I don't care about networking on the back, so I'll just choose the one I want and then hit mount. Now, the difference between Instant Recover is Instant Recover will deprecate the live VM. It'll turn it off, it'll timestamp it, and it'll launch that point-in-time version we selected in its place, which is fantastic if you have a corrupt or failing VM. It's terrible if you're doing a demo and want to show someone where you had 2 VMs, you now have 3. But functionally, that's the only difference, right? So if I come in here and start searching, there's the 2 I manage in this cluster, and there's the point-in-time version we asked it for. Now you can see the data store being presented is from Rubrik, right? We're essentially promoting the hot blocks onto an SSD and then spitting this out to your cluster as an NFS volume, right? Now you can see in the summary, it's already up and running and I've stripped the networking off the back. So again, it's something you have access to near instantly. Now all of these live mounts are managed out of one section. If you're doing it in the cloud, it's managed out of cloud mounts. We do the same thing for SQL and Oracle. So if you want to be able to mount it that way, we certainly can. Now we'll come in here and manage this. Now all I have to do to manage it once I'm done is if it needs to stay live, just storage vMotion it, right? Keep it up and running. You can see I can migrate the data store. Now if I wanted to come back to it later and manage it, simply power it off. Lastly, if I'm completely done, just unmount it. And we'll handle the change block tracking and garbage collection for you, right? Again, simplicity is key here. Last piece I'll touch on in this platform is really how we handle reporting. So what we do is we have what we call our Envision reporting engine. It allows you to create custom granular object level reporting in a lot of these high level default categories, right? I'll show you one just so you get a feel for how we present data. But what it's going to do is give you a very straightforward and simplistic view that you can easily get more in depth with, right? I can mouse over and see exactly what's being consumed by SLA, as well as the growth of them over time. Again, predictive search built throughout the platform. So if I come in here and start searching for a database, right now I can see, all right, how much is it taking up an archive? More importantly, what does the growth rate look like? What does my data reduction look like? So there's a lot of valuable data you can glean out of a very simple report. Now you can take the raw data we generate, throw it into a CSV, download it, throw it in Power BI, or if you need to schedule it, everybody seems to need multiple schedules. So we give you the ability to take one report and have it set at different intervals for different needs. So very straightforward stuff. So that was really Act 1 of Rubrik. Act 2 was Polaris, and that's what you're seeing here. Rubrik Polaris is a SaaS platform that organizes all your data and makes it discoverable and usable, no matter where it lives. Now, this is GPS. This is that global manager of managers. I can come in here and manage it from a cloud native perspective, as well as Office 365. It all functions exactly the same. But I think the piece that's probably most important to talk about is Radar, and at least show you how it works. Now, I have a lab being beat up by ransomware, so that's actually what you're going to see. But when it sees anomalous activity, it'll alert you to it. Say, hey, we see this is suspicious. Let's investigate it in a little more detail. So you can see, right, here's where we see the suspicious activity. And it should be a directory structure for that VM or file set that you're pretty familiar with. So you can see, all right, so these are where I see the suspicious activity. Let's drill into one. First step, what was added? A bunch of encrypted file extensions. All right, it's probably ransomware. Well, now I know when. What was deleted? Oh, the files I need. So I can either grab the few that I actually need to recover or go back up a directory and select everything that was deleted, and then either download it, put it somewhere else, or overwrite an original, right? Again, you don't have to go Bitcoin shopping with this. And because we provide that immutable file structure in our platform, you know you can go back to something still good. So hopefully this provided you with a high level understanding and a little bit more visibility into what Rubrik's doing and how we achieve it. I hope you were able to see how Rubrik simplifies data protection and lets you do a lot more with your data. Thanks for watching. As a next step, I recommend you take a look at our definitive guide to Rubrik Cloud Data Management.
Well, thank you, Kyle, for that wonderful demo. You covered a lot of info that will be very helpful for our audience today. And I can see that you've struck a nerve. Lots of great questions coming in already. People are very intrigued and interested, and that's awesome. We're going to make sure that all those questions go to the Rubrik team so that they can follow up with all of you. So please do, if you have any last lingering questions for either KnowBe4 or Rubrik, make sure you get those in, and we will get them to those teams. And again, a big thank you to Greg and to Kyle for some incredible demos today. This has been such a fun day. I hope you feel like you've gotten to know the solutions from KnowBe4 and from Rubrik a bit better. And, you know, hey, what's next? Go book another demo, reach out to these teams, get in touch, explore their websites, and maybe book a little bit more of an extensive one-on-one demo to dig in a little bit. You know, If you are really intrigued, it's important to remember that we've just dipped a toe in the water here today. So do a little bit of research and head over to that handout section that we talked about at the top. Click into the links there. That's a good place to get started as well. Ransomware is just too serious to wait until something happens. Now is the time to be proactive. So all of you, just by being here today, have kind of taken that first step, and clearly you're interested in doing the research and building the strategy. So that's great, and keep up the good work. Now, speaking of things that make us smile, it's time for a prize giveaway. So I'm going to remind you again that you must be present at the live webinar in order to win. And today's winner of a $300 Amazon gift card is Steve Moffin of Oregon. Steve Moffin of Oregon, you have won a $300 Amazon gift card. Congratulations. As always, we will reach out to you after the webinar wraps today. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank both KnowBe4 and Rubrik for making this Tech Talk possible. And a giant thank you again to both Greg and to Kyle for such interesting demos. I hope that you really enjoyed this quick dive into two very cool platforms as much as I did. I hope you feel powered up to start some more research on your own. And hey, whether it's a DemoCast, a Tech Talk, an expert series session, a summit, a megacast, or an ecocast, I can't wait to see you all at a webinar again soon. And until then, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful rest of your day.